Hello and welcome to day 49 of 73, and today I wanted to talk about resilience. I remember in high school, in our planners, there used to be a poem or a quote or something that at the back they would put every sometimes term, sometimes year. And in this particular year, I remember it was a poem by a man called Douglas Malloch. I don't remember the whole poem, but I remember two lines, I think in the third paragraph or something like that, where it was talking about, or the line said, "Good timber does not grow with ease. The stronger the wind, the stronger the trees." And in my youth, that always seemed to have a very literal meaning, as far as I don't understand what level of poetry this is, nor am I supposed to gain something from this, because admittedly at the time, things were, in comparison, relatively easy. Path was laid out, you pass this grade, you go to the next one, until eventually you reach the end of this particular length of time, and then you move on to the next thing. But in my journey now, those lines have somehow come back to me without me having to look or reach out for them. And they've come back in the form of me seeing examples of people who have now gladly embraced resilience or gladly welcomed this idea of the difficulty of life, or I'd say resistance, in order to prove their resilience in many forms. At this very moment, I'm looking specifically at the example of sports, where you for years can find someone who's butting against a certain rival or team, or I would say weakness in their game, and then over time they now find it within themselves to focus solely on whatever that obstacle is and be resilient enough to now overcome and create an identity that is new overall. I was watching an ESPN doc. It was about the Detroit Pistons, actually, of the late 80s, early 90s. And the thing that I got from that, which naturally had a ripple effect in the NBA world following those few years, was the emergence of a now very robust Michael Jordan coming from those series. If you ever have the chance to watch that, please go and do so. It is electrifying TV. And I think that, and this is something that they mentioned in the documentary as well, we wouldn't have had the pleasure of being able to witness, or at least I was not really around at the time of the peak of Michael Jordan's powers, but at least from the consensus in the basketball world, had he not had that opportunity to face Isaiah Thomas, Bill Laimbeer, and before Dennis Rodman joined the Bulls, him as well, this whole very well-oiled machine against him, and him finding the inspiration to go in the off-season to work out, to now come back as a completely different person, all because there was that resistance, there was that inherent obstacle time and time again whenever they went in the Eastern Conference that found him. And in order to become the Jordan of the 90s, there was this period of time that he had to overcome in and of himself. So that's not an example that comes freshly on top of mind for me, but at least when I take it back to my own personal journey, it gives me a lot more hope and understanding that when I do have days where I might not be clear on what it is that I would want to post, or how I would want to come through as my best self, those are essentially the days that I need. Those are the days that I need to embrace in order to figure out for myself the tools and the methods and capabilities that I do have in order to best deal with that in a sense. And it gives me so much more gratitude for those moments, and understanding that ultimately, if I stay resolute and am resilient, then it's going to be one hell of a story to tell once the dust settles. So yeah, thank you for your time.